So what I'm going to do is just run through very quickly what CARES is, for those of you that haven't come across this before. CARES is the Scottish Government's Community and Renewable Energy Scheme. It's delivered by Local Energy Scotland, and we're a consortium of organisations with the Energy Saving Trust, Changeworks, the Energy Agency, SCARF and the WISE Group. And CARES is really a service that provides free and impartial advice, support, signposting and funding, and it's for a wide range of organisations, including community groups, rural businesses, social enterprises, charities, faith groups and others. And we're really aiming to help you to bring ideas about your local energy project to life in a way. And the great thing about CARES is it's there right throughout your project journey, from your kind of very first spark of an idea of something that you'd like to do, all the way right through to the project being completed. One of the key things I think about CARES is not just that there's funding available, but also that we've got development officers and specialist advisors that are there to support you throughout your whole project as well. The development officers are a really key part of CARES. We're not just an organisation and then walks away. We're here to support you and help you to get the best outcomes for your project. We also have a lot of resources on our website. Sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to navigate and to find the resources that are best for you. So again, that's another place where you can use your development officer to help you to find the right bits of information and the right things to look at, because there are a lot of tools on our website, and it's good to kind of know which ones are the best to look at. But we do have other support as well. We've got frameworks of contractors that can help you to deliver your projects. And we've got lots of great case studies and reports and things on the website too. So there's lots there to get you inspired and to help you think about what types of projects you might want to do. In terms of funding, we have kind of two main streams, if you like. We've got our smaller grants. These are enablement grants, and they're for early stage work, feasibility studies, options appraisals, things like that. These are available right throughout the year. There's no kind of cut-off point for a funding panel, and they're generally up to about £25,000 is the cut-off point, although a lot are often much smaller than that. Sometimes for community building work, there's often a stage before the enablement grants where we'd signpost you to an organisation such as Energy Efficiency Business Support that's run by Zero Waste Scotland. They can help you to get an audit done of your building, and that will come out with some recommendations around the types of things that you might want to think about installing. If that report isn't enough to then go straight to a capital stage, then that's when you might want to bring in some enablement grant support to help you look through the options in more detail. And then we have our larger funds. These are over £25,000. They're for further development works if you've got a very complex project, or for capital funding as well. So we can fund the capital costs of renewable measures now, which we weren't able to in the past. Which is great. And in the last round, we saw a lot of applications come in from community buildings looking to install solar PV. And we do have an opportunity open at the moment for urban community buildings to get more from this fund too. There's still a small amount of funding left, which we've targeted at urban community buildings. So if you are in that situation, please do have a look at our funding page there and just get all the up-to-date information on that. But typically, the development and capital funding for the larger scale projects, that tends to be awarded at panels, and those are maybe 2 to 4 times a year. So it's a bit more restricted. The application form takes a lot more time to fill in, and it's a bit more detailed, but just have that open a couple of times a year. For community buildings, just to give you an idea of the types of things that you might want to do, electricity generation, there's been a lot of focus on solar PV and matching the energy use in your building with the generation available from the solar PV. And if you've got excess generation, perhaps using some storage, battery storage, to help you use that energy when it's really needed. Other things that you could look at would be around transport and thinking about heat storage, heat distribution, and even electric vehicle charging points, things like that in terms of the transport side of things. Again, if you get some kind of audit done, like the one through Zero Waste Scotland, that might help you to think about some of the things that you could do in terms of energy generation and heat and transport. We also have on our website a couple of site guides and project models to help you think through the options as well. We have a site guide for community buildings and the energy options, and that's definitely worth having a look through if that's something you're thinking about. It kind of takes you through step by step the things that you might want to do, might want to think about. And a project model for PV on a community building. Again, very straightforward, takes you through the whole project journey, all the steps that you need to think about, all the different reports and things that you might need to access. So before you apply, I would say definitely take a look at those. And then finally, that's just in case you need our contact details, you can get us on this free phone number or at our email address. And on our website, you'll find the contact details for all our local development officers, who would be your first port of call, really, if you're starting to think about developing a project. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now and see if there's any questions in the chat. I think there are, so in that case, Sia, would you like to present your project? So what we're going to do now is just show you a couple of projects that have kind of successfully gone through the CARES funding process, and they'll give you a bit of an update about where their project started from and where it is now, and maybe what they're hoping to do in the future as well.
Thank you, Laura, and welcome everybody. Just to introduce myself, my name is Zia Hussain. My day job, I'm a senior IT project manager for a company called SEPA, which is a Scottish Environment Practitioner Agency. I'm also a trustee of Iqra Learning Centre, and that's basically the project I'm going to basically share this presentation for. So just give me one moment. Hopefully the technology works. Can everybody see that okay? Yes? Excellent, thank you. So first of all, just about the organisation itself, we basically became a charity status since 2006. We started off at Iqra Learning Centre, basically providing Quranic lessons for children, and basically started off in the local in Darnley. Basically started from a house where we used to teach. My children used to go and learn the Quran, and eventually that then increased to the community centre. We then ended up with about 100 children that we used to teach Quranic lessons to. That also encompassed things like health and safety, first aid training for the young children. We basically primarily were based in St Angela's Primary School. Eventually, on the back of that, we basically purchased a site called West Harlett House in 2012. This was basically with community funding and community support. Basically, we are serving communities in Glasgow Southwest. That's primarily Darnley, Barhead, Paisley, Crookston, and South Park Village in itself. The site itself, as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner, that's the road coming into the site. We basically purchased West Harlett House with 12 acres of land, and that red thing in the middle is basically West Harlett House. The areas around that is basically all the stuff on the left-hand side. It's basically our master plan on what key activities and community things that we want to introduce. One is basically a sensory garden. One is to do with archery and so forth. So, and we've always got some community gardens in there which people could come in and grow their own food. So that gives you a picture of the site. Moving on to the actual work itself to do with the energy project, we as a community organisation were invited to a conference, a workshop basically that was hosted by Local Energy Scotland in Glasgow in January 2019. And at that stage, we basically were given a number of advice on how to take forward a solar PV project. The first thing first, we were asked to basically contact Resource Efficiency Scotland, as they were then, basically, as Laura mentioned, to basically get a report of what our energy needs are. So basically, they came in and had a look at the site, look at how we currently used energy at the moment in terms of electricity and gas. Then, obviously, there was a deadline. We had to then, as for a community organisation, we had to extend this back to Ofgem for a feed-in tariff to be extended. So we worked with Local Energy Scotland and development officers that helped us do that. What I would say in terms of the support from Local Energy Scotland, I would echo what Laura says. They're not there just to give you the funding. They're there to support us. I work as a full-time. I have a full-time job. I'm only a volunteer for this organisation, as we all are, and their help in helping us do this was fantastic. So that we managed to get it extended to March 2020. We then basically worked with Local Energy to secure funding from Scottish Power Energy Network, and that covered 75% of the project. We still had to find 25% from ourselves, from the community. And then ultimately working with the contractor MTech, who were basically the organisation that basically did the installation, and we had to install it by September 2020, which was at that time the end of the feed-in tariff. Once we were halfway through that project in September, the Ofgem extended the feed-in tariff to March 2021. We never knew that at the time. We were aiming for 2020, which we were able to do. Okay. Here are a couple of pictures of our solar PV, which is a 9.9 kilowatt system. This is basically using the excess land within the building to gather the energy. And that covers the presentation. Any questions? Laura, do you want to wait till at the end of Wahid's before questions?
If there are any questions now, we can take them now. But there's none in the chat, so we'll just pass over, I think, to Wahid, and then we'll take any further questions at the end.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks, Laura. And I'm not an IT specialist, so my presentation is very simple. I'm a doctor by profession, and we live in Inverness, which is one of the northernmost cities. We acquired a building in 2004. It was a former Rangers football club. Sorry if you're a Rangers fan. That club was in a bad state of repair. So when we acquired it, for some reason, I'm not sure why, we didn't need EPC. And if you can see the first picture on that, the EPC was rock bottom to 140. That means there was no energy efficiency in that building. So with the help of volunteers and local builders, we started an extensive renovation of the building. And as you can see the picture 2 and 3, we put skylights, which were double glazed. We put thick 100% woolen carpets. We put insulation in the wall. And as a result of that, we were able to improve the EPC to 32, and there was a further potential to improve the EPC to 23. So we did improve that by making some compartments in the building. Some part of the building is used more than the others, so we kind of segregated some of that. And so our energy was mostly supplied by the gas boiler, which we had. And then, as Zia said, that Local Energy Scotland included the faith building into that grant process as well. Before that, it was not the case. So for the first time ever, the faith buildings and community buildings were allowed to apply for the funding. And with the great help from Katrina Knott, who's our local carer rep and expert on, we were literally finger-led to this project. We had increased community enhancement in terms of funding. So we received a funding of around £10,000 to put a 6 kilowatt solar system, which you can see it's only covering 1/3 of our roof at the moment. So we have a potential to enhance and increase that. And the top right picture, we put the meter right in the hallway where every member of the community, when he or she enters the the mosque, can see the energy being produced, being used, and that empower the community to do the same project for their businesses, for their homes, and other organizations were interested. Following on from further support from the CARES Foundation, we are now in the process of getting battery systems. That was just approved a few days ago, so we going to have a local battery storage which will be using. And Inverness do get quite a bit of sunshine. Even there's a picture at the dark where the sun, the moon is shining through our windows actually. So I think light, though it's not a great deal in Scotland, but still a big resource to power some projects like that, especially for community centres where, in my view, most mosques which I've been to are struggling with the financial burden of the bills and heating, and because it's a place where 24-hour heating is required. Further up, as Laura said, that we are now in the process of some EV point charging. To 3 of our community members have electric cars. We also had, as Zia mentioned, that gardening, waste recycling, and others are also very important project, and our religion does promote that in a big way. So through the religion, through our congregation coming in, we were able to empower not only ourselves but the community member to go into this journey, which I'm very glad that we are saving money. We saved, and for Zia, we were the last one to go on the FIT deadline. It was 13th of March, and our solar panel were installed on 13th of March 2020. So we were the last one to go on that FIT, and we have received two lots of installment from them already. So overall, I must say that through the Local Energy Scotland and the CARE funding, this project was possible, and not only we empowered ourselves but the community members. So I'll open for questions or.
Okay, thank you very much for that, both Wahid and Zia. That was really interesting and great to hear about your projects. I'm just going to stop the recording now so that we can have a chat and some questions.